You see here I have a wonderful bunch of fresh curly parsley. I prefer the curly. I think it has more flavor, and I like working with it a lot better than the flat Italian parsley. Tabouleh is mostly parsley with some vegetables in it and cracked wheat. I don't wash my parsley till I've picked it all off. I think it's a lot easier. I'm very careful not to get the stems because I don't like the stems in my salads or in my tabouleh. And as you can see, I'm just taking little bunches like that, little stems, making little bunches till I have enough that I can twist it like that, grab it at the stem and pull it off. This is really beautiful parsley. It's nice and crisp and fresh and very easy to work with. So make sure you get nice fresh vegetables when you're making tabouleh. It's very important. There we are, the whole single bunch of parsley is done. And this is enough for a nice family dinner. Not a big party or anything. I've done as many as 5 and 6 bunches of parsley at different times. I fill the bowl with water to get it all washed and get any dust or sand or dirt out of it. This one was really clean. The water isn't very dirty at all. Little shake. Now we'll spin. Leave a little bit so it dries out slightly and it'll work better in the food processor. Okay, in the beginning before I cut the vegetables, I take the bulgur and the cracked wheat and I wash it a little bit. Pour the water out. And I use number 1, the finest, but I don't soak it. I've read a long time ago that the peppers with the 3 tops on them are a little sweeter, and to use those for eating. And the ones that have 4 are a little bit better for cooking. How true it is, I don't know, but I've always done that. Split it open, pull this out, and I make sure, usually I don't wet the inside, but with tabouleh it doesn't matter because you're going to use it right away. But I do take the pith out, and cut out all the pith. When I'm using it for something else, for salad or something, I wash the pepper and then I clean it afterwards and not wet the inside. Next I'm going to clean the scallions. For this amount, for 1 bunch of parsley, I use 1 bunch of scallions. I do use the nice greens. Cutting the top off and pulling the one loose one off. I'm preparing the cucumber. I do peel it. And the tomatoes, getting them ready to chop. I'm going to start with the cucumber. Cut it in half. Doesn't look too seedy, so I might not need to remove the seeds. And I cut the slices very thin. And then I slice them in very thin strips, julienne them. It's nice when they're nice, fresh, newly picked local cucumbers. But if you don't have them, of course you can use the little Armenian cucumbers that you buy, or the English cucumbers, the long ones. Any cucumber gives it a good flavor. Now I cut it very thin. My tabouleh is always very, very small bits. That's how I learned how to make tabouleh. That's supposed to be small. I think the 1 cucumber might be enough. Okay, sometimes I give it a little chop with my wide little cleaver here, but it's also what I lift it up with and put it into the bowl. This is a little seedy. I'm going to cut the seeds out. When you use the English cucumber, you don't get all these seeds, and it's easier to just chop it up. But it's good when they're fresh cucumbers right out of the garden. Cucumbers are all chopped. I'm going to start chopping the green pepper now. And I will do it exactly like I did the cucumbers. I cut them very thin. And then go the other way and chop them. I'm going to chop them small. Again, I take my little chopping knife and chop it a little bit. Make sure it's nice and small. It's so nice when it's summertime and you get all the fresh local vegetables to put in a tabouleh. That's why it's the best time to make it. Now I'm going to start on the scallions. I get a bunch of scallions, maybe 5-6 scallions. And I chop them by hand. If they're real big, I kind of split them. But I cut them small anyway, and then do the same thing with the chopper as I do for the cucumbers and the peppers. You can see I'm putting all the green part in too. Adds good flavor and color. I tried to put the scallions in the food processor once, but it chopped it up too much, even just pulsing it. Chopped them too fine and made them too mushy. There's the scallions. I'm going to take the bulgur. Now it's swelled up quite a bit, and I don't put that much bulgur. This started out being 3/4 of a cup. I usually only do about 1/2 cup. So I'm not going to put it all in. If you like more, you can put more bulgur in. I don't like it a lot of cracked wheat in it. I'm going to take the tomatoes now. This is going to go on here. Cut in small slices. Looks pretty good, doesn't look too juicy. And all tomatoes are different, so whatever tomatoes you use can use plum tomatoes, you can use the tomatoes on the vine, you can use hothouse, whatever tomatoes you use. Some are juicier than others. You don't want all that juice in the tabouleh so that it's not, you know, too juicy. I'm doing it this way so that the bulgur absorbs the juice. I try to get the pieces as small as I can. But I don't chop these with the other blade like I did the peppers and cucumbers and onions. What I'm going to do is put it in here and let it drip into the cracked wheat. I'm just removing the seeds and the hard white part. These tomatoes are kind of firm. Now I'm going to put the tomatoes, juice and all, in the strainer and let the juice run down into the bulgur. Those tomatoes were quite large, and I don't have a lot of the other vegetables, so I'm going to just put 3 tomatoes in. There, I've squeezed a little bit to make sure I get some of the juice out. And now the bulgur will absorb the tomato juice instead of the water that would be in the bulgur. Got all the vegetables in the bowl now, ready to go. Here's the parsley. It kind of dried out a little bit so it won't stick and mat up if it was wet. I just have this little food processor because I love it. I use it all the time. My big one I don't need to drag out, but this works. When I'm doing a lot, I bring a larger food processor out. I'm going to juice 2 lemons, but I'm not sure I'll use all of that lemon juice in this small bowl of tabouleh. Straining out the seeds. I'm using this reamer. It's a wonderful tool, and I use it all the time for citrus. I like fresh lemons when I make tabouleh or salad. I use lemons. Sometimes I use limes when I have them. I like the flavor of lime. You can see how pretty it is with everything in it. I'm going to take the bulgur, and it's got tomato juice, but I'm going to squeeze out more of the juice so that it's not in the salad. Mix in the bulgur. Now again, if you don't think that's enough bulgur, you're more than welcome to put more in it. This probably could take more, but I like it with not too much. I take and I pour, and it's probably at least 1/4 cup, and it's extra virgin olive oil. The salt, I don't measure. I take and sprinkle slightly. That's probably maybe 1.5 tablespoons. And I sprinkle a small amount of pepper in, maybe 1/2 teaspoon. Mix it all up. That's it. And then I'm going to put the lemon juice in and taste it. This is the juice of the 2 lemons, but I'm only going to put about half of it in. I'm going to stir it. You might need all of it, but you can always add more. You can't take any out. If I did put too much lemon or salt, or if you think it has too much in it, what you do is cut up another tomato and throw it in it, and it absorbs it all. You just have to add it. Now I'm going to taste and see what we got. Good. Needs more lemon. I think it needs a little more oil. Now, if it tastes too sour, the bulgur will still absorb some of the flavor of the lemon. So don't worry about it. Let it sit. Tabouleh always tastes better if it sits for a couple hours or even the next day. Add a little bit more oil. That's it. Tabouleh is a good summer salad because of all the fresh local vegetables that you can get. When I serve it, I always serve it with either iceberg lettuce or romaine lettuce, or we used to even eat it with grape leaves, the real tender grape leaves in the spring. Sometimes we'd go to the park, we'd go to Belle Isle and have our food with us and have a picnic, and we'd just go out and pick some tender leaves and eat it with that. It's a wonderful dish. It's very filling, and you can make it any time of the year. You don't have to only make it in the summer. Of course, the tomatoes and everything else taste better in the summer. It's very healthy, and some people can't eat wheat like me, and I have made it without the bulgur, just like a little salad, or I have made quinoa and mixed quinoa in with it, and you can't tell the difference between the quinoa and the wheat. It tastes delicious.